Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Skinny Pedal Motorsports. One of the biggest issues we had at Rocky Mountain Race Week was couldn't keep the car cool. And I think it's just my radiator is just really insufficient. So hopped on Amazon, got me a cold case for a G-body. We're gonna get to putting that thing in today. This should help any of y'all that has cooling issues, should help my cooling issues. But yeah, we're gonna hop into it and get this thing installed. We got the antifreeze draining out, had a little spillover, but we got my Home Depot bucket down there. Draining her out down at the bottom, and we're going to drain the engine out. And I got some tools to get all the air out of the engine, so we'll see if we can get this thing fixed and get it staying cool. We're going to hop into getting everything taken apart. All right, so one of the things this radiator doesn't have that my old one did was a steam port. So what you can do, some people say not to, but I've seen people say that's perfectly fine. Get you a 1/8 MPT 90 like this, drill and tap your water pump in this location, and then vent this to your steam vent. Just make sure you get all the air bubbles out of it so you don't have any hot spots and your engine won't run hot. So that's what I'm gonna do. So a major tip, when you're drilling stuff like this where you can't really get, you don't want to take it off and you don't want to get metal shavings inside your water pump like I'm fixing to do, take you a little tiny bit of grease, and just coat your drill blade in it. And all that grease will pick up those metal shavings. Well, we got it drilled and tapped. I messed up tapping the 1/8 MPT, so I had to step up to a half. I used a brass bushing from Home Depot, and I don't know where my tap is, but yeah, just tapped it up to the size. That's running over the steam port. Get everything back together. All right, so everything is tied back together. We got the lower rad hose on, upper rad hose on. We got our steam vent hooked up, plugged up, ready to go. We got our overflow going over to here, capped off one side. Should be fine. We got everything ready. So now it's time to bleed the coolant system. I personally like to use one of these. It is a cooling system test and refill kit. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. Not too god awful. About 50 bucks, I think, something like that. But basically, these little things right here, they go here. Then you hook this little section here into that. You hook it up to an air hose down there. It will vacuum it down, and then you take a 5-gallon bucket and fill it back up. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So it should be about somewhere around 24 to 26. And if you watch mine, it's slowly creeping down. So I got a leak somewhere. I think it's this bottom radiator hose, or maybe right here where the steam vent is hooked into the radiator. I didn't put any sealant on that. But that's going to be all for tonight. I'm going to stop by the store tomorrow on the way home from work and pick up some sealant, and maybe pick up a couple new hose clamps just to be sure and get everything squared away on this thing before I put any coolant in it. And yeah, we'll just catch y'all tomorrow. So it's the next day here. I did find some water inside this fitting, so I'm pretty sure that's where my leak was on the vacuum, but we got to fix for that. We're gonna get some Teflon tape. So we got everything sealed up. You can see this thing's working. Look how sucked down the upper hose is. Bottom hose got a thing in it, or it'd be sucked down too. But you can see this thing is holding about 25.5. It's been there for over a minute. I'm gonna let it sit just a little bit more, but there's no leaks in this system. It's holding a great vacuum. So the next thing you do is you take this hose right here, like so. You put that hose down there. Make sure it stays covered in coolant. I got 2 gallons, which should about almost fill this thing up. It's probably got a gallon in it. It ain't gonna fill all this up. So yeah, we're gonna pump it in there. I'll show you how it works. All right, so what you do is you got your coolant filled up like that. You go right here and watch it work. You just flip this thing right here. Boom. No air bubbles. And when it gets down to 0, it has all of its coolant in it. you see, the cooler is slat full. I'm gonna put everything back in place, get the trans-cooler lines hooked up. We're gonna fire this thing up once I get the fans hooked up. Well, we got the fans installed. Everything is in the car. I'm gonna clean this thing off right quick. We're gonna get this thing fired up, make sure it don't get hot, and drive it down the road. So at this point in the video, I know it's kind of random, but I had already tried 2 radiators and a whole bunch of slow parts to try to get this thing to cool down, and it wouldn't cool down. So what you're fixing to see right now is I got to replace the water pump, and this is why it's taking me so long to make a video. I've had to replace stuff I didn't think I was going to have to replace. Radiators didn't work, and I finally found the solution of why my car's not staying cool, and you'll see that in the end of the video. Well, this is step 1 of fixing the cooling process, hopefully. Brand new water pump from the O'Reilly's. Get this thing put on. So one of the important things, if you've ever messed with the LS, you know good and well, you got to get your steam vent in the right place. So mine used to go from here to the radiator. I swapped it up, put it in the water pump, but I'm going back to the radiator. I got a new water pump, new thermostat, new everything to try to get rid of this cooling problem. But yeah, you just slide this on here. You're gonna go over here to the radiator. Well, we got the radiator in. Everything works okay, but it still gets just a little too hot for my liking. Cruising down the road, it gets up to like 200, 205, 210. I just want it cooler than that, and I think I finally actually found maybe part of my problem. Check this out. I never thought of this, but there's my hot side going right under my lower radiator hose, so that's probably not helping at all, but I have a solution. I got my mechanic cat down here. It says you need to get that fixed ASAP. But yeah, we got a solution. I am going to header wrap that lower hose, or that lower, not lower, my hot side going all the way up to my turbo, so at least some of the under hood temps will go down, hopefully, and maybe that will solve my issue, because it does okay, but it eventually gets heat soaked. So I'm thinking maybe that is heat soaking this hose, which isn't allowing this to cool off. That's what we got. Some good old-fashioned heater wrap or header wrap, whatever you want to call it. This stuff is really itchy, and yeah, we're gonna get some gloves out and put it on. All right, so to do header wrap, 1, you want to wear gloves. This stuff is covered in fiberglass. It ain't no fun to get on your skin. First step is to get this wet. You don't want to soak it. You just want to get it wet so it's pliable. You can wrap it around. I'm gonna go get it wet real quick. All right, we got it wet. Gonna hop into wrapping it around the header, put you on a time lapse. Well, there she is, fully finished. Gonna get this bolter back up in the car once we spray it with some high temp BHT silicone coating to bond everything together. But for our first header exhaust wrap, I'm pretty proud of it. Well, we got everything wrapped up. It looks super good. Hopefully it's gonna protect that pipe. We'll get everything back in place and get this thing fired up. Well, you can see how well the radiator is now working. 177.8. It is about a 75, 80 degree day. So it'll probably get a little warmer than that, but this thing is working so much better now. I think maybe out in Kansas I might have just had an air bubble, and maybe all the other ones just had air bubbles. I think they're truthfully probably, I just didn't have good enough fans on those other 2 aftermarket radiators, and I just couldn't see paying $500, $600 if they're not going to work. So I sent this back and tried one last Hail Mary on the stock radiator I have with the Intrepid fans, and they work, as you can tell. I mean, I can't really complain. I put it through the paces on a 90 degree day, and it gets up to like 205, 210. I can live with that. I think what I'm gonna have to do is put some radiator ducting around my radiator, and hopefully that should improve my temperatures. I guess one thing you can learn from this is that Amazon will let you return radiators within 30 days. So you can try a couple different things out. That's what I did. Tried a couple different radiator fan combo setups, as y'all saw. One cold case that didn't work, a northern radiator that didn't work as well, and I really think it just comes down to the fans not being strong enough and I think they were just a little too thick and you couldn't draw enough CFM over them. And with my big ass intercooler out front, that's really hindering me. So like I said earlier, I'm going to have to put some shrouding around the grill area right here. I think the plan is to put some shrouding maybe like back here in this area, around that, and maybe do something down here at the bottom to draw some air in. I really don't want to punch holes in here, but I will if I have to. Or the second thing I could do is take the intercooler, move it down, and get more flow across the radiator. But I kind of like the look. It looks sinister with that sitting back there. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you learned something, drop a like, drop a comment down below. And if you've been watching for a while, you know the message. If you ain't on the break, you better be on Skinny Pedal, son. We out of here.